Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. I go live every Friday at 7 o'clock, sometimes on Thursday, like today, if I have something to do. I will be in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. I am doing a speaking engagement and some film reviews, and we get to, is it reviews? Watching some films that have not been released and get to review them and just enjoy South by Southwest. I've been going there for the past 6 years. I haven't been going to the musical side. I usually am invited to the tech side because I'm a podcaster and, kind of social justice kind of person. So because of that, I'm usually invited to the things that are kind of tech driven, tech and film and art and stuff like that. Hey, CL. Hey, Jennifer. How are you? So I will be in Austin for that event and I will be doing a speaking gig there. I will post on my social medias once I get more detail. But I fly out tomorrow. So I wanted to do a live today. Hey, Miss Poke. Um, yes. So that is what's going on. I'm trying to think of, is there anything else? Look at my schedule. Yeah, South by Southwest next week. There is a R&B weekend here in Houston. So if you are looking for something to do and you live in Houston, there's an R&B weekend from the 29th through the 30th. So there's tons of R&B events happening that I will be grown. Now they are cisgendered events, but I'm a grown ass woman, so I will be going to some of that stuff. Um, and it's like an R&B weekend where different little lounges are going to be kind of celebrating R&B. And so I will be enjoying that. That's the 29th through the 30th. Let's see. Yeah. That's all I got a lot going on in March, as y'all can see, but as far as travel, that is what I got going on. Today we are going to talk about I'll be in Texas next month. Work. What part? Hey Brianna. Um I wanted to talk about being child free and what does that look like for trans people? Haunting through Dallas. Hunting or haunting? Who are you haunting? Oh, haunting. That means, is that like a slang for visiting family? Family? Work. I will be haunting family in April as well. I will be back in Indianapolis in April. I'm supposed to be in Indianapolis on like the week of the 11th and all that time. That weekend of the 11th through the 14th. Mm, J. J. Last time I was there, I saw everyone but who I came to see. I might as well have been a ghost. Oh, thank you, Miss Polk. Thank you. Oh, you didn't get to hook up with your trade? Jean Pierre, how are you? What part of Georgia? Make sure as you come in, you thumbs up. We will get started in about 5 minutes. I kind of chit chat in the beginning, just give enough time for the notifications to work. uh, I got worn out the weekend in Dallas. Work, come on, worn out. I always have a good time. I like the trade in Dallas. I wouldn't want to live in Dallas, but when I come to visit, the trade always treats me nice. Always treats me nice. Norcross, Georgia, yes. Yeah, I have a good time in Dallas. Dallas is good for the trade. Dallas reminds me of how the trade used to be in Houston 15 years ago. Oh no, definitely not. That is definitely not my experience. Definitely not my experience. I meant Atlanta. Either way, Dallas or Atlanta. I have never had Dallas or Atlanta, definitely not Atlanta, live up to Houston's trade for me. No. Uh-uh. That's just not my experience, darling. I haven't done this in a while. You haven't done what in a while? Yeah, I've never had the trade be sickening in Atlanta. Never, ever, ever. There's a couple of them that I met out in the world, but yeah, it's never been like this. Oh my God. Ooh, love trade. Mm-mm. Good evening from South Africa. Hey, South Africa. Yes, thank you. Come on, global. You haven't done a live in a while. I do a live every week. Yeah, I do a live every week. Where you been at? That means you haven't tuned in a while. I would never go to Atlanta and plug trade. Yeah, it ain't never been the tea for me. The trade in Atlanta is too mixy now. They know too much. Yeah, mm-mm. They always have. I've never been. I remember when I used to go in, like in the 90s. It used to be different, like Freaknik era. Other than that, that's the only time and even think they might not have been pluckable, not pluckable, but they just wasn't. I just maybe I was young and so it felt like fresh trade, but yeah, that's what's up. Well, welcome back. I don't think that all you know what I'm saying. I don't think that Atlanta is full of gay men. Yeah, there's tons of gay men there. It's like the mecca of black and gay people because the South is has the most queer and then the most black people. So of course you're gonna have a city that is gonna say, "Ha!" It's gonna kind of stand out as the with the most. Makes total sense. But there are some straight boys in Atlanta, but I just yeah, I just never been there where it is has been like great. I felt like that ended in the 90s and I was too young to actually enjoy it at the time. Um, I think that's what Brianna is talking about. I don't think it's like people make it, but I think they are too familiar with things. Is that kind of, I don't know, that makes people who have that mindset, that something about that feels internalized homophobia or transphobia, depending on who you are. Something about that feels weird. Like if you have a diversion from places that are familiar to your entity or your way of life, it feels like, and not saying that I don't have that because I do have that, but it feels like there's some problematic in there, y'all. I have that, but I think that's where my where it shows up for me. Because I like it to be, I need the trait to be a little ignorant. I don't need them to ask me my pronouns, and that's why I loved Mississippi at the time that I lived there. Maybe you tell the trade in Mississippi you trans, they like, huh? What's that? Maybe not now because it's but back in like 2000, yeah, it gets time to go. Ah, mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. You gotta go. Where you gotta go? You gotta go to the backwoods of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all the red states. Ah. You need to be ignorant. Yeah, that's where my problematic nature come out. Honey, a nigga asked me that, I'm out. That's where my problematic nature comes out, where I'm like, when it comes to men, I like them to be a little woogie. I like them to be a little, you know, I'm old school, so I don't think that that's gonna change. I can I am intelligent enough to see where it is problematic. And I get it, and I don't knock anybody who has evolved. But as a 43-year-old woman, I don't think that part of me is going to change. Thank you, thank you, thank you, babe. I enjoy, I enjoy uh cishet aligned man. I just, you can't be um you can't be Tariq Nasheed ignorant. You can't be that. You can't be where I can't have a conversation with you. But you can't be I gotta feel like you're not a part of my community. I need you to be a little woke. You got to be drowsy. You need to be you don't need to be woke, but you need to be drowsy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all know I only got three hairs. I got my black. This is my classic. This is when I just want to be, fish, just regular fish, black hair. And then I have my red. If I do curly, I want it to be red. That's gonna be my wild woman, boho, bohemian, mm, that kind of deal. And then if I want to be edgy, I'm gonna be short and blonde. Those are my three hairs. I'll do some other stuff sometimes, but I know what works for me. This is giving, just black straight hair. Just you get what I'm saying? Normal black straight hair. That this can be relaxed black girl. Somebody can say it's giving um, mixed girl, whatever. I feel like the curly hair kind of gives a little mix, little gig, boho mix gig. But this could just be relaxed black girl. Um, and then the short blonde is when I want to be like youthful and edgy. Anything else? I'll do short black too sometimes, but short black I feel like is more it's just boring. It just feels it I feel like it's agey. It's given Tony Braxton in the 90s. Um, I want a mullet unit so bad. I have one. It's so cute. I like it. It feels edgy. It's a certain time that you wear the look. I have a mullet unit. It's cute. It's definitely cute. But thank you, thank you, thank you. This is yeah. All right, so we 15 minutes in. I wanted to talk about, I want to see what y'all thoughts is on children because I've been running across the child free movement videos. So I wanted to hear what y'all thoughts about children. Like, if you're trans, do you want children? If you are cisgender, do you want children? Do you have children? Were they planned? If you're cisgender or trans, were your children planned? Um, did you just kind of stumble up on some dick and stumbled up on some or some pussy, whatever you get, and boom, magic, the magic of nature happened, and you had kids, and it's just boom, it is what it is. Or like you planned, you said, I want to have children, so I'm gonna do it. Or like, give me y'all child story or your child opinion. Like, what is your? Because I'm seeing a lot of resistance to people being child free. I only have feelings of wanting kids when I lived in Alaska. I think that's because I was bored. Trans femme, I have a 1-year old. Hmm. Okay. So I d- I don't want children mainly because I can't afford them, and I also don't have the family ecosystem around me to help me raise my child. Cishet, married, now divorced. They too weren't planned. They are 15 and 17 this year. Come on, 50. You got some teens. They grown. They almost out of there. You about to be free. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Michelle. How are you? Um, Children are expensive as hell. They are very expensive. Oh my God, my boyfriend is helping raise his little adopted brother and niece. It's interesting to say I've never wanted children. Brittany Powell, no kids yet, but really want some one day. Great. What is stopping you? Like you just haven't found the right person? Is that what's stopping you? Um, I think that's supposed to say, I think it's meant to say passion fruit, hopefully, with XXX. So is that your OnlyFans name? Passion fruit. Don't want children, but I like children, just don't have the feeling of being a mother. Hmm. I couldn't even imagine procreating in this current world. I am open to adoption once my money gets right. Almost outside. Hey, I have no children and I am proud and happy to be a non parent. People try to shame me in the past. Nah, just a spicy way to spell, yes, passion fruit. So, when I was younger, and part of me, just a little bit now, um, I have, um, when I was younger, I fantasized about having children. Um, I really, based on my own mother, um, based on my own mother's, wanted to share this. I wrote a new song. It's called Single, Childless, and Free. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Um, that the song inspired this live. um, just based on my mother's parenting and how good I felt my mother's parenting in the beginning. It changed a little bit once she got older. But my younger years, my mom was such a good parent, and I just wanted to be a parent. Like I just based on her, I don't want to say tutelage, based on my earlier years, I wanted to be a parent. So it felt like appropriate. But also in my younger years, I did have this fantasy about what my growing up would look like as a woman. I hadn't when you were when you're a child, the culture says to protect children, like to rear them. Now, that don't mean that the culture does that, but that's what the mainstream culture said. You should protect children. So during your child years, a lot of times you have people, they might be doing it in the wrong way, but or their own way. I don't want to say wrong because their way of they might, and we know there's certain wrong. You shouldn't be molesting kids. Shouldn't be starving them. That stuff is wrong. We know that stuff is wrong. But I'm talking about, you know, the right and wrongs of good parenting. So sometimes people feel like you should be a disciplinarian, and I don't necessarily think that that's wrong. And then some people think, oh, you should be free and permissible parenting, and not their intention is not to harm. Their intention is to steer them in the right direction. And there's not a right and wrong. Like both, there's levels of right and level of wrong in both of those situations. Soft parenting. But in general, the public and the socially, we take care of our children. The aunties, the adults in the room, they're kind of helping you. If they're in your circle of people, they're usually helping you steer the child in the right direction. Teachers are going to be like, oh, I'm going to support you to be the best adult that you can be. Like there is a innate part of our culture that says you help children be better adults. Like you help children survive and live and be happy. um but what happens is once they are not children, that care shifts and it's based on identity politics. So when I was a kid, people was like, Karen. some people, people were, the culture was Karen. Like I'm supposed to be taken care of. I'm supposed to be, people were trying to, even if they were trying to teach me to be a man, their intention was to teach me as a child that they felt like it was their job to say, I need to teach you how to be a man, son. Or if they affirmed me, I need to teach you how to be a woman because this is what womanhood is going to look like if they're an adult. So, prior to when I was further away from adulthood, I had this mentality that I was going to grow up and be a woman because I was trans. So once I decided that that was the journey that I was going to be on, not having the language of trans being kind of like the staple, because trans wasn't a thing in my sphere. I didn't have that language. Woman was what I had. Okay. So I just felt I'm going to be a woman. I'm not going to be a trans woman, even though I knew my history. I felt like I was going to grow up. And long as I looked the part, this is where you get indoctrinated in the idea that passing, and I don't think that's in vogue now. It's still kind of the core, but I think it's a little going, I don't want to say going out of style, but Passing is starting to be less important, but back in my day, passing was important because of safety. Passing was important because you just wanted to be treated like whatever affirmed identity that you want it to be. Okay. You just want, I just want to be a girl. I just want to be a woman. I just want to go through the world and be cool and just get and live my life how I want, how I feel comfortable. It wasn't about, it wasn't about breaking the binary and I'm not saying that to shit on the new generation. I think that they are going in the right direction. Let me say that. So I don't want there are going to be some people listening and say, "Yeah, these new woke generation." I don't like bitches like that. I don't like people like that. So no, I'm not saying that to agree with your foolishness. I think the new generation is going in a good direction because when they talk about breaking the binary, they're talking about making people more free when it comes to how they can present themselves, and that makes you more free. Even if you are a binary person, even if like you are invested in the binary, it makes you more free because if you fail to live up to the standards of the binary, if the world is more free outside of the binary, you're more free and you don't have to have low self-esteem. If you got a little stubble on your face because your laser wasn't as effective or you couldn't afford laser or whatever, you can still navigate the world without being harmed and without being teased and without being picked on if the binary was broke, quote unquote. Do you see what I'm saying? So it makes you more free, even if you are a binary person. If you're a cisgender person who doesn't live up to the standards of feminine, if you're a cisgender woman that wants to live up to the standard of feminine beauty, that may be problematic, but you want to live up to that standard, then in that regards, if the binary is more open and free, you're more free to be it instead of failing at doing it. You're more free to be whatever kind of femininity that you want instead of failing at being this perfect, usually white, Eurocentric, light skin, closer to white, whatever is better, feminine, small, petite, da 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 da, whatever those problematic things that we all talk about. You if that binary is broken, you have more freedom to be who you are. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so as I got older, I felt like, oh, I just want to be a girl. I just want to be a woman. And so my fantasy about being a woman really aligned with your stereotypical idea of gender roles. I wanted children. I wanted to now, of course, I knew that I would have to go about it a different way, but I wanted children, I wanted a husband, I wanted to be married, all the stereotypical stuff that you learn as a child about what gender roles are. So of course, because of movies, because of the culture, because of people around me, those things were the staple things: marriage, children, house, monogamy. So me fantasizing about what my life is going to be as an adult, it as a without having political analysis that I will come to learn later. uh, I just my idea of what a woman should be was very stereotypical. I wanted to grow up, be in love, go on dates. I stayed a virgin till I was 16. um Keep my body count low so I can be prestigious. And um, I wanted to be these things. Just these kind of weird delusions. Like if you think about it, like it's real. You and this comes from for me, it's different from everybody else, but me, it comes from church. It comes from because I grew up in a church and how a woman acts, how a woman should be comes along with these things. Um, um, just like any other woman or man, where you learn what those things are is your culture that you live in. And so I lived in a very Kojic, apostolic, Pentecostal, black, black, respectability, politicky culture, mixed in with hood culture that was a little In country, it just was, my family was from the country, so there was a level of women do a certain thing as far as taking care of the household, but also have a work ethic that wasn't typical of an upper class. So women in the lower class of my family, they worked like them. They had to work. All of them from decades away. So a woman staying home and not working, that was my great, great, great grandmother, like two greats away. She was the only one that could stay home and not work. And then half of her life, she had to work too. So in the beginning, when she was young and first having her babies, yeah, she got to stay home. But eventually, when they moved to Indiana from Mississippi, she had to work too. So it's very rare that there was no like working in the lower class. So the idea of a stay at home mom, that just wasn't something that was in my wheelhouse of possibility, because that's just was the culture of women that I was in. You feel what I'm saying? Women worked and contribute to the household even if the man was there. And as time went on, men just, and this is my experience, I'm not saying it's anybody else's. um um Thank you. Men started to have, as y'all coming, it's 30 people in here, only 18 have thumb up. If you have not thumbs up, thumbs up. um Men started to be less responsible for things that they stereotypically um were responsible for. They start to be more deadbeats. Yes, I saw good dads around, but I start to see more single mothers, as when I by the time I come up, like in my building alone, they were either single mothers, the women that lived in my building, they were either single mothers or they had a stepfather who was kind of shaky. So yeah, everything. So one of my friend in my building, I'm trying to think of the three young children. PJ, his his mother was the mistress of his father. So, but they had children together. So she and we don't know this because we too young to be in grown folks' business. But this is what, based on me being young and picking up on what was going on, she was the other woman, and he took care of her house and his house with his wife. So she lived in this low income building with his children that she had, and he went back and forth, the classic Papa was a Rolling Stone, but he went back and forth from wife, taking care of the children in their house, and taking care of children in his mistress' house. They knew about each other, but they just stayed separate because they had children or whatever. So that was PJ's family. Um, and she had two older children that wasn't the younger sons, the fathers, that he wasn't the father of those two children. Then we had Curl and Marcus. Marcus was my friend. Curl had a stepdad. Curl had a boyfriend. They weren't married, but it was her apartment. But she had two sons, an older son and a younger son. That wasn't his. And so my mother had my stepdad, which was my little brother's father, and she stayed with him for my whole first 7 years. So she had my brother when I was 6 or 7. So she stopped fucking with him when I was 7. So I don't know a household without a man figure in the house. Um, then once she left him after 7 years, she got with my youngest brother's father and stayed with him for 4 years. And so I just don't really have a household that doesn't have a man in it. And a lot of people, even though my mother was a single mother, do you see what I'm saying? Like I don't remember my mama being single. My mama always had niggas paying some bills. always had She's always had this, but they were not married. So then my other side of the other people who weren't living in the building, but other people, my aunt was single parent. Um my aunt Joe, she was widowed, so she had a husband, but he died, and so she stayed single and took care of her children, took care of her house. Um, Trying to think of only person that I really knew that was like married with their children, with their husband in their life, like the typical respectable, was my aunt Ellen. Aunt Ellen, she had all her children by her husband, and they lived together and lived in the house, and the typical thing, all her children by her husband. Um, so these were the images of I thought that the image, even though it wasn't the typical image, I thought that womanhood, you get married, and then that was because even though I saw a bunch of single women, their conversation was saying that they wanted to get married. Like getting married was the goal. Now that shifted as I got older, but at the time you can hear in the conversation that you want to find a husband, you want to get married, and you don't want to be shacking up. That was the language that we were using, they were using as adults. Shacking up means that you're not married but you live with a man, and so that wasn't respectable, that wasn't good. And so, even though that was really common, it just wasn't, when they talked about it, that wasn't good. They wanted to be married. So do you see what I'm saying? Like the lived experience did not match for me, my perspective of marriage and children. The lived experience did not match what the ideal was. Okay? So, when I got older and was envisioning my own life as a woman, I wanted the ideal despite seeing the lived experiences of women around me. Okay. The lived experience wasn't marriage, wasn't happily married. It was literally only one. It was literally my aunt Ellen. She was the only one who was married with her husband's children. Unless you go to church, then you got the first lady and the pastor, but then that was weird. um the church folks, yeah, you saw that. The Scott in Indianapolis, there's this popular family called the Scotts. He was a dentist. I think the wife was a teacher, and they had three girls, the Scott daughters. And so they were the typical church ass family, like kind of like the ideal or whatever, middle class. That. So when I got older and life started to come at you fast. And my transness started to, then identity politics start to come in. Like, and I know this was not just happening to me. This was happening to the women around me. As a black cis het woman, your black womanhood and how you gonna navigate the world and how the world sees you started to affect their lives. Their identity started to affect their lives once you become an adult. And so this happens to everybody. Black men, cishet black men, once you are out of childhood and go into adulthood, then those systems of adulthood, not that they weren't affecting you as a child, but as an adult, you come face to face with them without the help of the culture. You feel what I'm saying? And so, like everybody else, I come into my adulthood with multiple identities as a black trans woman. And so, how does the world treat black trans women? So quickly you learn. um, how does the world treat you as a black person? How does the world treat you as a trans person? How does the world treat you as a woman? You are coming face to face with what that the reality of that is. So you either have to, if you're trying to keep whatever fantasy you had, you're gonna have to start making compromises and adjustments. You're gonna start having to either, most people, if you super extreme like myself, when it comes to multiple intersections of identity, you really just, you kind of throw that out and make a new one. Once you see the real world, you kind of throw it, because it used to be typical marriage, white picket fence, adopt children, or because I had a, when I got in my teens, I started to have a little freaky side, or explore sexually until you make some children, which explore with your husband until you make some children. And so, if you wanted to go the natural way, but adoption and surrogacy, all of those things started to be options of what to do. But then, as I got older, I started to realize that, oh, whatever this fantasy you have about marriage is not for you. First of all, you got the gay marriage debate. Now, trans women didn't really have the same direct issues in gay marriage. We There was some, don't get me wrong, but once we have gotten, legally have gotten the sex change, and got our gender, all that stuff changed, we actually can legally marry a man. Like, we could. And there was women who were literally fucking living that experience. So we didn't really have to worry about gay marriage rights, because technically, once we got the sex change, it wasn't a same sex marriage, technically. Um, so you hear people, um like in the Littleton case, Christy Littleton. Christy Littleton married her husband, and her husband died in a malpractice from his doctor. And she tried to, as a wife, she was with him for 8 years on their ranch. And as a wife, she tried to sue the doctor for malpractice. And you can look it up, Christy Littleton. Um, I did a video about it. I can't remember how old it is. It's old, but she tried to sue the doctors, and because the doctors hired a private investigator, and they found out that she was actually born, and this was here in Texas, that she was actually born a male. And then they, because Texas just did not recognize same-sex marriages, boom, they started to have this clash where she couldn't get recognized as his wife. And so therefore she couldn't sue on the behalf of being his wife. Huge deal. We recently, that was back in the 90s. Um, I think it was 92 or 94, somewhere early 90s. Um, and she passed away with HIV recently, actually recently, in like within the decade. Um, she went back to she if we can go back more recently with Nikki Aragush, trans woman. She also passed away of a drug overdose. Um, she her same thing with her. Very similar stories, except she kind of won hers. She was the wife of a firefighter. She also was a politician. She ran to be the Wharton mayor and was very close to winning, but they exposed her being trans. But after they exposed her, she went back into stealth mode. But her husband, excuse me, was a firefighter, and he died in the fire, and she was supposed to get spousal support from the fire department. However that works, when you are a police officer or fire, like a city worker like that, you get some kind of spousal. Your children do too, but the wife get a spousal stipend or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but some little money from the government. And so his ex-wife hired a private investigator and found out that she was trans, and blocked, even though it wasn't she wasn't blocking because the wife had children by the husband, even though her intention was to block the power of the wife to be able to do whatever she wanted to do with the husband's body and da 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 da. Da. But it snowballed into her blocking, um, um, her spousal support. And so it turned into this big ordeal. So make sure you look that up. That is Nikki Aragoose. Nikki died about 5 years ago. Was it about five? No, it probably was 6, 7. I can't remember exactly, but yes, somewhere around 2016, 17, somewhere around there. But yes, so boom, the gay marriage thing. And I say all of that to say these are the things that you kind of start learning as an adult. You don't know about this shit when you're young. This kind of that's when shit started to be politicized. Like you started to have it started to be political. Like people start to making it a political thing. Um and so of course I erased the idea of, and then the cultural shit. Like, you learn that being with a man comes with consequences for him and you. So unlike cisgender women, you as a trans woman, you can't just be with a man. It would be amazing to do that, but you're not gonna you technically can, but it comes with issues. Like people are going to be questioning his sexuality, and that could lead to harm. We looked at the movie Soldier Girl with Calpurnia Adams. That could lead to him being bullied and lead to his death. It can lead to issues at work, isolation, like you can't be in contact with his family, or there can be consequences. You can't be in contact with the job, so you can't go to like corporate events. Um, um, corporate events, you can't, and what you don't understand is these things culturally are important. You want to think that they're not, but they really, really are important. Think about the presidency. Have we ever had a president that was single? We have never had a president that was single because the status quo says a mature, powerful, respectable man is a married man. No matter what he's doing behind the scenes, we know it can be totally different. But when it comes to what is respectable and what is the status quo, a married man is that. So if I'm a trans woman and because of my transness, he has to hide me or I have to be stealth, I'm not giving him the image unless I fit that perfect ideal of a woman and I can pass. But I'm not giving him the image of this kind of respectable man if I'm his wife and I got to be hidden. And I can't come to the corporate dinners and I can't come to the things that make him look like this married, respectable man. We've seen, I think Troy Kennedy talked about this a few times in different interviews. I've interviewed him as well on the show, but he's a trans attracted man, and he talks about his experience as a person who openly dated a trans woman and how it affected his job, and he couldn't do certain things, and there was certain kind of discrimination that they kind of put on him as a trans attracted man because his wife was trans, openly trans. So it was this whole thing. So that's fucking difficult. And that's not just it's not that's not that's not that's not the interpersonal relationship between you and the trade. Like dealing with him coming to grips with his attraction to you. That's with a dude who accepts it. We don't even have to get into the ones that don't accept it, want to be on the down low and don't want to marry you. Da, da, da. We talk about this is a dude who accepts it and wants to be in a relationship with you. We're talking the problems that come after that. So you learn that. So that idea of marriage starts to be just, you can't do it. Like, you can. I've been married before. Twice actually. One was romantic and one was business. um, but it's difficult. It comes with difficulties. So the problem now is children. When you're a teenager or early 20s, you ain't thinking about kids. Most people, cisgender or gay or trans, most of the time you think you too young to be having kids. That's the consensus. So children are not on the table because you're young and you're supposed to be getting your education. You're supposed to be exploring the world, sowing your royal oats. So there's no pressure culturally in your age bracket to have children or think about children. So the boys at 16, 20, 25 aren't really thinking about kids in that way. Like, they don't pressure you because they're not supposed to be having kids that young. Well, maybe not 25, probably like teenage, early 20s. They're supposed to be focusing on career. Okay. So, but once you get past that 25, then the pressure for children changes because you start seeing a lot of cisgender women having babies. A lot of cisgender men it started to, this is the first baby era. Now, when you was young, there was shame that came with babies, like with girls, even though it takes two people to make a baby. I don't remember there being a shame with the men who had children in high school. With girls who had children in high school, there was always this fucking shame that came with it. How people talked about it, even though the same dude that fucked her to get her pregnant goes to our school. Nobody talks to him like they talk to her. Misogyny. Nobody talks to, they're going to talk to him like, ooh, it almost gives him a man status. This is where misogyny get fucking weird. Like, and y'all tell me if y'all experienced this. If y'all had a girl get pregnant in high school, tell me if y'all experienced this. When it would, and by a dude in high school, because a lot of times they got pregnant by old ass niggas that was fucking them. But say the situation where the girl is pregnant and she's pregnant by a same age dude in high school. In my high school, and this happened multiple times, the dude would get a grown man status. Like, the men in the culture and the women will say, you got a child now, so you got to be a man. You gotta, like, it almost puts him in the status where I have permission to be a grown man now. And being a grown man comes with perks. It comes with freedoms. It comes with ooh, he got a child coming, so he has to get a job. He has to get a job, so he would be able to be late for class. I'm thinking about this one. It wasn't just, but it was multiple ones, but this one in particular. He was able to be late for classes. He was able to leave school early. They were giving him ways to be a man because he got a child on the way or he had a baby. But the girls, while also forced to be an adult, yes, but there was a negative connotation to it. It was almost, you laid down and had them, they're your responsibility. Not saying that that's wrong, but the assistance looked different and felt different. It felt like when I, and this is from the outside looking in. I ain't got no fucking kids. I can't conceive. So this is me watching girls who experience this. Like how they talk to them was almost like belittling. Like you fucked up your life. Whereas the dude, you see it, but it's the way they talk about it was light. It wasn't a shame attached to it. It was like, oh, you just being a man. And yeah, you gotta grow up, but this is what men do. You gotta work, you gotta take care of your children. Da, 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 da. It almost was like he had a head start to the spoils of manhood. It didn't have the same negative connotations the way people talk to the girl. And don't let her be a girl who got pregnant and they don't know the daddy. Oh, baby, you called everything but a child of God, honey. So for me, kids were a negative. It was a negative. But once you get past that 25 and you get into that 30, then you even would get clocked. Because Trey will start asking you, do you have children? Just to clock your teeth. It never makes sense. It takes two to make new lives. So both men and women should be held to the same standard. That's the truth. But that's not always how the world works. Yeah, you're totally right. So I don't want to say it was pressure, but you start to think about it more in regards to children. And as somebody in a relationship with somebody that was 3 years older than me at this time in my life, we started to have conversations about adoption and what do we like, what will we want to do in regards to children? Do you want to have children? And so now it's the compromise. It's like, ooh, do I want to adopt? Do I want to have a surrogate? Do I want to, like, how does this work? How do I make this work? And then what other option was the natural ways and blah, 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 blah. So you're thinking about it because that's almost in general, that's the next step. You get married and have children. It's a natural step for a cisgender couple. So of course, that's what you're trying to go to. And so you're sitting talking about it, making compromises about it. And so once those relationships didn't work out for me, the idea of having a child started to be more about you know, and as a person who practiced uh traditional African religion, um, you know, passing your blood is important. That's important. And so, how do you do that? So then I have to think about how do I do it without a man, without being in a relationship, and how does that work? And so then you know, then I'm getting meeting trans men, and that's a possibility. Um, so you're thinking about it, but it got to a point for me where kids are fucking expensive. Me getting custody of my brother at 21 and having to spend money every semester, basically 3 times a year. You have to buy summer clothes. You have to buy beginning of the year school clothes, after Christmas school clothes, because a young boy tears up fucking shoes or outgrows shoes. um, really, really fast, like because they're growing boys. Um, I remember when I lived by myself back in the day. Now it's different. I could buy a month worth of groceries for $100 back in the day, like back in the late '90s. You ain't buying no month worth of groceries for $100 now at all. But when I had my brother in the early 2000s, I had to buy more food because I'm feeding myself and him. And then when my man moves in, we kind of like a little unit, little family unit. And so I'm buying groceries. It started to be more expensive. So not only I have to take care of the child's needs and my own, I have to take care of the food. It just started to be way expensive. And luckily for me, I had a teenager. I didn't have a kid. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing when it comes to daycare, because daycare nowadays is expensive as shit. It's like some fucking college tuition. Daycare. And don't have a baby with irregular like eating stuff like allergies. My little brother, he couldn't drink just regular formula. He had to drink special formula. And like I literally had to go to the store and steal when I was a kid and my mother was kind of like running the streets being on drugs. I used to have to run to the store and get this special kind of and steal this special kind of formula because he could not drink regular formula. I think he was a Similac. It was Similac. I think Infamil. And is it Infamil? I don't know. I can't remember. I think he was a Similac baby. Like he could only do Similac. And so I had to or no. I don't know. It was some kind. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I knew what it looked like because my mama told me what it looked like. And so I would go and steal that shit. And don't let the children have special needs. Yes, all these things come into play with the cost of a child. But not just the cost, like as far as money, the cost of time. When my brother was living with me, if he was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to travel. At the time, my brother was like 12, 13. You see what I'm saying? He was an early teenager. So I could leave him at home by himself if I needed to travel for sex work because I'm trying to pay the bills. I could legally travel and leave him alone and come back and be straight. Baby, I could not have done that if he was like super young. I couldn't do that. You have to be in the house with your children because they are little kids and it would be irresponsible for you to not be there. So you can't be free as you want to be, like even for your self-care shit, wanting to go like out of town or do something. If you want to go out of town, you got to take your kids, and that's a whole other ticket, a whole other room, or a whole other. It's just a whole other responsibility. So then it's not really self care because you're planning and dealing with your kids the whole damn trip. It just does. I remember me and my brother for his birthday, either 2 years ago or last year, we went to Cancun for his birthday, and I was sitting watching my brother engage with his baby mama. And I had to pull him to the side and say, sweetheart, I know this is your birthday. Yes. And I get it. I know. But I really want you to look at how your baby mama is engaging with the children. Like, This is her vacation too. I know it's your birthday vacation, so I understand. There's a level of it's my birthday child. I get it. But also, it's her vacation too. And this is their mama. Let's figure out how to give her a break from the children too. At least one of these days. Not on your birthday. We here for a week. Let's give her some time to go do a spa day. Cause I'm watching her every dinner that we have. She got a baby here. She got two children. She got a baby here. She dealing with this one crying. She did it was wild. I was like, I couldn't do it. Like, this is stressing me. Watching her engage with this is stressing me out. And it ain't even my children. But she is literally taking care of everything. And you not even helping. Nigga, what are you doing? You're not helping. And and then he will push back and say, well, if I try to help her, she gonna say I'm doing it wrong. And then it's gonna start an argument. Then learn how to do it right. So it's not an argument. Learn how to ask her to tell you how to do it right. So you can help her. You don't just give up and let her do it. Because look, she's not even enjoying her vacation. She can't enjoy this beautiful meal. We went to this fancy restaurant. She's sitting with the baby on her hip. This one is crying. This one is it was just so much. I just didn't enjoy it. And I was trying to be a good sister and tell him, yo, you need to be better at this. Whatever this support of your wife, your baby mama. And he's not lazy. He's not lazy at all. He's not lazy. He's he's a man, and you got to train him. You got to train them to be more supportive, because if you don't, the world lends itself for them to be not helpful, because he pays all the bills. He does what he has been taught by me and the world. He works. He pays all the bills. The trip was paid for by him. But what I'm trying to teach him now, as his older sister, that you contributing to the household. It has to be more than just financial. Same, and his wife works, so it's not like she don't work. She works as well. She brings money to um the situation as well. So it's not like, but he pays all the bills. Her money can just go to whatever she wanted to go to. Um, but contributing to everything with your children and da 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 da, and really just pushing him in that being a better man direction. Um, but he's not lazy. No, lazy would be somebody intentionally just sitting back, not doing anything. I don't understand how that would be lazy. He does do things, but it's more like, based on what they both have said, it's, how do I explain it? It's not lazy. It's not, because she never describes him as lazy. She describes him as she doesn't even describe it. She likes to take over that part of her motherhood. And it's kind of like a megalomaniac type of situation. And she says this, it's not just him. It's like, she's the type that if you want it done right, do it yourself. Instead of her teaching him how to do it, him saying, oh, she don't want me to do it because she says I mess it up. And so I tell him and her, no, you need to teach him how to do it so you're not stressed out about it, because you're going to get burnt out. And he's not dumb. Teach him how to fucking do it. And you learn how to do it. It's not like he's unwilling to do it. He will do it. It's just that sometimes she's like, no, I'll do it. Like, when she's not around, he's taking care of the children. He's changing diapers. He's doing all the stuff. But when she's around, if she's watching him, like, for example, changing, doing something, whatever, like cooking the food or fixing the kids' play, whatever it is. One of the problems that was had was because it's not her way, it's a problem. So we had to talk about that. It wasn't him just not wanting to do stuff. That would be lazy to me. Like he was like, like he's sitting back like a king. Oh, I don't gotta do that. I'm a man. That's a woman's job. That's not my brother. He's not like that. It's just he don't want to get cussed out for doing it not her way. And so he's like, okay, so here you go. Do what you want me to do. So that's how it is. But I'm seeing her go through this and I'm like, oh, this would be stressful as hell. The time it takes. And then when we think about child support and all that kind of stuff, people love to be like, well, I'm not taking care of no woman's child, no woman. Just I'm not giving my money to take care of the baby mama. I'm giving my money to take care of the children. Okay, cool. But the baby mama not only is with your little chump change that you done gave for your child support, baby mama not only is giving her own money to the household, but she also is giving her time that you are not giving because you with your new girlfriend or single, being free in your own house, only having to clean up after you, while baby mama is cleaning up after your children. And when they sick, she got to be with them. She got to be the one to go to the school and bring them and give them, put Vicks vapor rub on the chest and spend the time to take care of them, the time of tucking them in at night, the time of getting them bathed and ready for bed at night, the time of waking them up and getting them ready for school. All this stuff you do not participate, even though you're giving your little child support check. This stuff that takes time and energy from her, you're not participating in that stuff at all. The work of raising a child. You're not contributing to that part of the lifestyle as of a parent at all. And you think you're doing them a favor by giving child support for your child. You're not doing nobody a favor. This is your child. You laid down and created this baby. For whatever reason, it exists. And so you're contributing to you financially contributing, you still got to step up to the plate in some other kind of way as well, because she is stuck with the baby. Her choice as well. So it's not like that's not her choice too, because she decided to lay down and have them too. But she's contributing. She's contributing not only her own money, taking care of her household, but also the time. So all of this stuff I say because I like to travel. Y'all know I like to go places. That my self-care is going to new places and seeing new things. With children, it just feels like it adds more cost. It adds more where limitations to where I can stay, because now I got to think about the safety of my children in this location where I could go stay in a hostel by myself at this location and figure it out as an adult single person. Whereas if I got kids, I got to think about the safety. So now I got to spend money for a place that's safe for them, like a hotel or whatever, where I could, if it was me by myself, I could choose something a little bit more economical. You see what I'm saying? So being a having children just adds cost of time and cost of money that I am opposed to. um, and it just feels like I don't think I'll ever get out of that. And then you hear people talk about let me see what was said. I mean, I feel like you was with this lady, you were going to spend the bread on the child anyway, so why just not pay your child support with no fuss now that y'all not together? Because it's men I just feel like it's being vindictive. Oh, they going to get weaves and wigs. That ain't got nothing to do with you. If her money is going to weaves and wigs, they acting like their little $300, $400 for child support, which some of them don't even pay that. They feel like that little $300 is going directly to the beauty shop to pay for wigs. And even if that was the case, the money that her money is taking care of the household and time that she's spending with the children, that that makes up for it. You just contributing and not even contributing the lion's share. As somebody who was saw my mother getting child support checks, child, that shit wasn't $164, $230. Child, that wasn't helping my mother. It was, it was contributing a little bit. It'll pay a light bill, it'll pay a, something, but it wasn't like doing what my mom was doing. Yeah, only time them numbers be fire, my mom was getting 325 for 2 kids. Exactly. That shit don't be doing nothing. That's a reimbursement, barely. Yeah, that shit don't be doing nothing. 325 for 2 kids is crazy. Yes, what's that? 165? What is that? 162? What's that? Half of 25 is 12, 12 and a half. That's 150 plus. Yeah, that's like 162 somewhere around there. Am I adding that right? That's 162 each. What? That's like, child, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Like what do you think you are contributing to? That's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, I just don't want that. That the cost of time and energy in regards to that. That just feels like a lot. Um I do there's something that there's like 5-10% of me that is like, "Ooh, I just would love I get 780 for 2 kids, both girls. Who rich off of 780?" Because what rent are you paying? It'd be even like, ooh, what rent are you paying with 780? Is you would live, you probably if you and think about it, you got 2 kids, so you need it's 2 girls, so maybe they can be share a room together. So you need 2 bedrooms for yourself and your children. What 2 bedroom are you finding in a safe place for 780? You not. And then niggas be getting mad at these celebrities when they be hearing that the celebrity got to pay 20,000, 30,000, blah, 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 blah. But that's not you, baby. That's not you. Eat shit now, even in Wyoming. But that's not you, baby. And they're paying that because of where they live and the lifestyle that they were married into. Their children, because the celebrity needs security, because they're celebrity children, they need security. They need they're going to private schools. So these things cost to keep them in the lifestyle that you had your children in. And why wouldn't you want to keep them in that lifestyle? Safe and what you need to do. So sometimes you go and you can afford it. It's based on your income. So they can afford it. So Your broke self worried about this rich man's money is wild. You shouldn't be worried about his money. Anyway, so the part of me do want to see like what my children would look like biologically, like what they would look like, what they would like personality traits that they would have. Um yeah, it's just something about it's just something about that seems like, ooh, that would be fun to experience just to see how how your children grow up, and do they sound like you? Do they look like you? What do you see about yourself in them? That seems like that would be a beautiful thing to experience. But is it worth having to take care of them for 18 years? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth that. My mom only got 150 for me every other month. Once I turned 14, she opened up me a teen checking account. I just had to go to that. I use it as play money until I was old enough to work, which let you know that it wasn't shit. That was your daddy paying for your allowance. I'll get a pet to feel those feelings. I think that a pet is different. I don't experience that with a pet. I experience like cuteness, but not seeing your temperament within your child. Seeing the traits that you pass down. That's another thing why it's like adoption always felt like weird for me. Cause that what I want a child for is kind of those things as well. Not just the experience of raising a child. I already experienced that with my little brother. I already know the cuteness of a kid and paying for stuff and them getting ready for school and looking all fly, and I done experienced some of the stuff, and I'm a cool with that. I've got those warm fuzzy parental feelings around that shit. The fear of, something happening when you can't get a hold of them. I had that feeling before. I don't need none of that shit. I'd be scared if I had kids, they might come out like some raggedy ass relatives of mine. If they were like me, that would be cool. Well, I think it's a nature and nurture thing. So, I think part of it you can't control, but I feel like part of it you can. I think that you affect your children's life and how you rear them. Now, of course, they can grow up and do something totally different, of course, but I think you play a part in that, and building that trust is is key. I don't think children just become raggedy ass adults just because. I think it's a nature and nurture type of situation. I do love to babysit, but also enjoy the in returning the child as well. After 15 minutes. After not the whole night. Right. My mama talks about how much my sons acts like my father, and I'm not scared he'll grow up to F up like my dad because I'm not raising him like that. Yeah. Mm-mm. What else did I wanted to talk about childlessness? Yeah, and just the responsibility. Like you got to be responsible for this person until they're like 24 officially. If they go to 18, but if they go to college 24 and past that, of course it's by choice because they're an adult, but uh, so many of the new moms I know are depressed. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. That's a gamble, but that personality is something you come here with, but that's true though. I don't want to I say I feel like your temperament is something you come here with. I think personality is learned behavior. I think your temperament is something you naturally have. But personality, I think you learn that based on your interactions. Dealing with deep depression because they're isolated once they have children, whether they are single or a partner. Hmm. I can see that for some people. That means they haven't worked to build that community that you were talking about earlier. I think you need community when you rate. You know, it takes a village, the classic saying. You got to build your village because I do see a lot of moms supporting other moms. So if you're feeling isolated, it's because you haven't built that community. And most of the women who I know who haven't built that community, it's because they're bitches. I think one, I have somebody connected in my family. She just not a good friend. She just is not a good person. And so her behavior around friendship, her behavior around family, it pushes her away from people. People don't like fucking with her. Even her kids, now that their kids are old enough to be they're adults, they don't want to fuck with her. And now she's older and not understanding why I did so much sacrificing for my children. And they don't fuck with me. And I have to remind her, you have to be a better person for people to fuck with you. What do you mean? I'm not about to tell you how to be a better person, but based on your behavior, sweetie, you are not that great of a friend. You are really selfish. You are really and people don't like to be around you like that. They avoid you. And this is friends and family. So, I'm telling you, you might need to make some shifts. Did she make those shifts? No. And so now she's going through her older, almost 60 years. And she is wondering why don't nobody fuck with her. Don't nobody come be fucking with her. She would be wanting to travel and do stuff and people don't voluntarily do it with her because she problematic. She's not a friendly person. I truly never heard about postpartum depression as much as I have in like the last decade. Well, it's similar to kind of like domestic violence. We're hearing more about all of this stuff because it's starting to be not tapped. People are starting to talk about their experience more. It's still been going on, but more people are talking about it, open to talk about it. And when you think about postpartum depression, you're everybody claims that when you have a baby, oh, this is your motherhood. Your motherhood is the most amazing thing in your life, and you have a new healthy baby. You're supposed to be happy and joyous, and oh my god, look at my bundle of joy. That's the cultural ideal. And so people don't want to be like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with me? People are like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I crying? Why am I depressed? Not understanding that shift in hormonal shift when it comes to drops in estrogen, drops different thing when it comes to your chemical makeup that happens after you have a baby. That can make you fucking depressed. I know someone who is not B, but people don't like to be around them and their child because of their parenting style. Their child is kind of off the chain. People have had postpartum and didn't know it. Oh, because of their parenting style. I mean, that could be a thing too. But that's a choice that they can make. I'm not tripping about that. But I wouldn't be. I'm sure somebody else would. I Yeah, it's how she moves in the world. It's not really her parenting style. It's how she moves in the world. Yeah, but I know people like that too. Mine, she's kind of like a narcissist. Is it narcissist? Maybe not narcissist. She has some narcissistic traits, but she's kind of like one of them people that has to be right. She's one of them people that says off the wall crazy shit and will argue with you. And so sometimes you gotta hang up on her because she says some of the most craziest shit. I think I told y'all about this years ago. This She hasn't said this in recent years, but this is to give you an example of the type of crazy shit that she'll say. I told y'all about this though. But she said years ago when I was like 18, she says the reason why gay people have AIDS is because they are mixing blood, cum, and fecal matter. And when you mix the sperm and the fecal matter and the blood, them coming together creates the HIV virus. And that's why the gay people are getting HIV, a higher risk of HIV. And as somebody who grew up in the 90s, now she's making this statement in like the early 2000s. As somebody who grew up in the 90s, who knew exactly what HIV was, who has had the facts around HIV hammered in my head for, at that point, a decade. I know that is not true. And she would argue me down like she was now. And let me give you another personality of hers. So I'm sharing with you an experience that I had with her. I remember distinctly because I was an 18-year-old queer person. And so her having this ridiculous mindset is something I distinctly remember. Like, I remember. So now that we are older and I bring it up, she makes it seem like she didn't say that, which is also a part of her personality. She's the type that will act like she didn't say it when, like, you like, I know you said it, bitch. I remember. So this is the type of person that she is. She's just this. And so it makes it very, very difficult. Like, if she wasn't my blood relative, I would not fuck with her. And not saying that you have to mess with people who are blood relatives, but I definitely would have been cut her off. Only reason why I give her chances, um, I don't know. There's part of her that I like. There's something about her that I like, but it's just a lot that I don't. So I have to give her um it's like 60. It's like 60% I like you and 40% I don't. And sometimes that 40% will get real strong and turn to 60 and I have to hang up on her and stop talking to her for a couple of days. A couple of months, I mean. Um that's something my mom would say about gay people. She pretends to be kind to LGBT people in public, but she would complain about it in private. Yes. I know people like that. I got like 3 of those in my family, LOL. They're all over 60, and she's almost 60. I'm this way with some of my family. Yes, she's just one of them. And so, but she's getting older, and because she's getting older, she starting at almost 60, starting to self-reflect. When she should have been self-reflecting 30 years ago. But she's just she she's starting to self-reflect, and she'll confide in me and tell me things like, I don't understand why they don't like me, like her children. I don't understand why they don't like me. Why don't they do. And so she compares her children to my mother's children. So my mother's children are fiercely loyal to my mother. So even though my mother has been a drug addict, she has failed us in so many ways. We have not lived with a silver spoon in our mouth, but we have this kind of unconditional. My mama can't do no wrong. We have this kind of unconditional love for my mother that she doesn't understand because she's actually the total opposite of my mother. Like in regards to, she's never done any drugs. She always kept a roof over her children's head. She has been kind of like the perfect mother, and not perfect. She's not perfect, but in regards to how she has provided for her children and opportunities that she has provided for her children, she's actually has been a perfect mother. She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't drink. She's at home. She's not running the streets. She takes care of her household. Her house is always clean. She always got food on the table. She always cooks. She's a single mother, but she is like she takes care of her children. She is a great mom, like in regards to that, but she does not have a personality that is likable. Like her personality isn't likable. My mother is the total opposite, honey. She failed when it comes to being a great mom in her later years. But my mother's personality is likable as fuck. She's gonna make you laugh. She's fun. She's sweet. She's affectionate. She is. I don't know. My mother is just like a. I don't want to say bubbly. She's not bubbly, but she's just likable. And that was the negative about my mother. My mother was like, she my mother would be the one that is have you sitting in between her legs and she's braiding your hair and scratching the dandruff and washing your hair and braiding it and doing all these things to care for you, busting your bumps where you be like, get off of me. But she's doing these like motherly care things, cooking your plate. She's doing all this stuff, but at the same time that my mother is doing this for you, she is stealing your money and taking it to buy drugs. That is my mother in a nutshell. She's taking the rent money and going to smoke it up. But she's loving on you and kissing on you and waking you up with breakfast and doing all this stuff. So it kind of fucks your brain up because you have this sweet, loving mama that's doing these kind of behavioral mother things, but she has the irresponsibility of a crackhead. So sometimes that is hard to reconcile. Whereas my aunt, who I'm talking about, my aunt is the opposite of exactly what my mother is. My aunt is absolutely responsible, taking care of home, taking care of everything, but she's not likable. She's not likable at all. She is you will argue with her. She is, and I don't have a problem with people being opinionated, but when she just can't accept being wrong. Like once you prove her wrong, oh baby, she's gonna hold on to it. She's gonna lie. She's gonna, oh, let me tell y'all why I had to hang up on her. The recently, so we were talking about black men dating um white women once they become successful. Typical conversation between black women. Um, and so we at first in the conversation we were agreeing, you know. Um, I don't think she's clinically a narcissist, but I think she has narcissistic traits. But I don't think there's like 9 things that you need to check to be an actual narcissist in psychology. And I don't think she checks all of these boxes, but she checks some of them. um, but anyway, so she has a master's degree, super, super successful, makes 6 figures. She's a successful woman. And so, but, um, but she has the men in her life have had the same complaint about her. You're not, they don't say she's not feminine because she does have this country girl cooking and cleaning quality. But when it comes to her mouth and come to her opinions, she is a strong woman. And sometimes, but the problem is, it's not about being opinionated. I feel like that's dope. I think opinionated women are fucking dope. Opinionated people are dope. But when you are wrong, you have to give it up. And I'm about to tell y'all, let me give you an example. So the conversation was about black men dating outside of their race. And we were agreeing at first. And then she said something that, based on my own research, based on not just and I hate when people say my own research. Research is research. And if there's multiple things pointing in one direction, you can take this as fact. If the science is saying that it is H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, and the science is saying that, like, that's a fact, my nigga. That's just what it is. And so she was saying that she was making a statement about what was she saying? Just say it's something. Just say something that I could easily prove. Like I can prove that this is actually wrong. Let me give you an example. So say that me and my homegirl, this is not a scenario, but me and my homegirl was arguing about men taking care of their parents. And so statistically, black men take care of their parents more than any other race. That's just what the stats say. So when it comes to taking care of their parents, like their mama, their aging parents, black men, black people, but particularly black men, take care of their parents more than any other males. So we're not counting women. We know black women take care of their mama. But when it comes to males, statistically, black men take care of their parents more often. So my homegirl was arguing with me about the fact. Now, part of what she was saying was real, but that fact was not true. And I'm somebody who, if you say something that's not true, I'm not just going to agree with you. I'm saying, oh, that's actually not true. I know the stats on that. That is the real T is da 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 da. So in the moment, I tell her, no. Actually, black men take care of their parents more often than any other race of men. And she was like, I know because I see. And the reason why she's saying I know I see is because her brothers don't step up and take care of her mother like she does. So she thinks her anecdotal experience is the facts of the whole group. And a lot of people have this problem. Because your anecdotal experience is this, doesn't mean that's the general overall experience. Yes, your brothers don't step up to help. But in general, Black men take care of their parents. That's just the facts. That's what stats, this research says, sweetie. And so we get in this argument about that. So it's me and my aunt. This is the type of argument that she brought up, but it had something to do with slavery and race. Okay. I can't remember exactly what it was. I can't remember. But her rebuttal, now catch this. This is where I had to hang up on her. And I said something about slavery. Thumbs up if you're watching. I said something about slavery, and she says, we weren't there, so we don't know what happened. Now, on a surface level, is that truth? Sure, we weren't there. And so I asked her, what do you mean by that? You don't think slavery happened just because we weren't there? And she was like, we're only taking because she wanted to be right. So this is the stance she took. She was like, because we're not there, so we don't know if it really happened, because we're just taking an account that's been written by somebody else. So you don't think slavery happened because you weren't there. That's the point you're making. And she was like, I believe it happened, but we weren't there, so we don't know. We actually do know based on the accounts. How can we have any more conversation if everything about the past that we weren't there to experience could be thrown up in the air as maybe it did, maybe it didn't? That doesn't make sense. I'm sitting here talking to you on the phone, sweetie, and you were born before I was even born. So how do I know you weren't born in a test tube in some machine? Da 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 da. I know that wasn't true because I know your mother. I know your sisters. I know the life that I know of you, even though I didn't even meet her mother. Like, this is my aunt, but her mother died before I got a chance to meet her. And so, but I know she existed based on other people around knowing that she existed, even though I never met her in person in my life. But I see pictures, I see her sisters talk about their experience with her. I know she existed, and you're fucking here. You're her daughter. So I know you're here. I know she existed, even though I wasn't alive when she existed. I know she existed. I didn't have to be there to know that that happened, that she fucked my granddaddy and had you. I didn't have to be there in the room watching them fuck. It doesn't make sense. Like, and so in this conversation, I hung up on her because this is ridiculous. Like, it didn't go that far. I'm explaining it now. But as soon as she said, we weren't there, how would we know? Oh, I said, oh, child, click. I'm done. And she tried to call me back. No, voicemail. I'm out of here. And so, like 30 minutes later, she calls me. She texts me. Let me read it. Let me see what she says. I say, what are you talking about, woman? And she does this. She does this like, she says, I love you, Mama Cat. And I say, I love you too, honey. Like, she never texts me like this. So this is 30 minutes after the conversation. She clearly knows that I'm frustrated. And this is because she's going through this loneliness, because she has basically burned all the bridges. I'm the only one that's still talking to her. And she says, And she says, and so she's like, she's trying to ruffle the feathers back down because I rarely hang up on her. But this time it just was too much. I was like, "Oh, you sound so ridiculous that I cannot continue to." Because how can we continue a conversation if everything that happens in the past you're gonna throw up in the air and it's like, "Oh, we don't know, we wasn't there." What? Fuck out of here! No, I'm not having a conversation with you. Play with somebody else. And so I had to hang up on her. But because she don't have a lot of friends, this was her way of ruffling the feathers back down. And I said, I love you too, honey, but I'm not talking to you for a couple of weeks. Because she just has this kind of like, I have to win this argument. No matter how ridiculous I sound, I have to win this argument. And that throws people off. And then she likes to embellish. Nah, she really doesn't exist. I wasn't there. I don't know. I wasn't there. It's so wild. I'm just going based off what my other people tell me. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. But she has a difficulty in relating to people because of another element about her that is quite annoying. She has this pro-black, anti-blackness. Let me give that sounds weird, but this is her. This is why it's so difficult navigating her. So anytime something bad happens, like anytime like we're navigating through the world, she will okay, let me give you an example. So say that we at the KFC and we ordering food and something goes wrong with the order. Everything is about being black. Now, listen, I know racism is connected to everything, but as a black person, sometimes I'm in situations where I'm like, oh, I don't think that this is about racism. I just think this is about the incompetency of the workers. Like, I don't think this is about us being black. I just think that, oh, they messed up the order. It was an accident. But my aunt will make it about being black. And it used to frustrate like my mom, and my brother. Anytime we're in a situation with her, she will make the situation about being black. And while sometimes she would be right, sometimes we would be like, I don't think that you're right about this situation. Like, we black too, girl. Like, we think that this is a different scenario. But she will make it always about being black. If something goes wrong, oh, is it because are you doing this to me because I'm black? Are you it doesn't matter what it was. It would happen so often that people around her would, when she's not around, would talk about not wanting to be go places with her because she will get in an argument with people, and especially around food shit. I don't want you to argue with my food preparers. I don't want you to argue with them. Because I don't want them spitting in my food. I don't want them doing something to my food because I'm not going to want to eat it if we're arguing. And we're not talking about giving them some pushback. Um, we're not talking about giving them pushback in regards to how you treating us, because sometimes she would be right in her assessment of we're being treated badly in this scenario. But I don't think she is right in the sense of making it about our blackness. Do you see what I'm saying? There's some times where it's just the incompetency of the workers. Anyway, so So, so there is all so when she's talking about these scenarios, we will say something happened at the KFC. I'm using KFC as an example. And we're driving off. We got our food. I'm checking it, making sure ain't no loogies been spit in it or so whatever. So now we got to have these conversation about anti-blackness. And so she's like, these motherfuckers, they just treat us because they think because we black, we ain't gonna say something and da da da. So there's this really pro-black stance that she is taking. And she does this all the time. And I just told y'all about the scenario of what we were talking about with the men dating outside of their race once they become wealthy. And so she got this pro-black stand. This is how they do black women and blah, 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 blah. So y'all getting the vibe. Y'all done heard women like this. Where black women, and there be some validity to it. So you feeling the vibe. This is a pro-black woman. So she is pro-black about everything except for her looks. Because this is also what she would do. So say that we're talking about skin. She'll say, now, my who I'm talking about, she's not as light as me, but she is light skinned. She's like a kind of caramel. She's darker than me, but she's light. Um, and so she'll say something. We'll be talking about skin, like we talking about skincare. Like she was like, "Oh, what skincare product you use?" I'm getting some little dry patches, da, da, da. And I'll show her some skincare, and she was like, "How does this work on our skin? How does this work on our skin?" So I'm thinking, when a black person say that, I'm thinking she's talking about in black in general. Like, how does work for black folks? That is a common thing when we talk about hair, when we talk about skin, that is common thing. So I'm saying, and so I'll say, well, skin is skin, girl. Like, there's some differences, but it ain't too much differences. If you talk to a dermatologist, it's not too much difference. Do you know this woman said, well, the dermatologist told me I have more like white people's skin. What? And she goes into this thing about, I cannot explain it, but she talked about how the texture of her skin was more like white people's other than black people. And I'm like, I've never heard of that, ma'am. I've never heard of that, sweetheart. What are you talking about? And I was like, are you talking about the melanin? And she was like, no, not just that. I'm talking about like the thickness of the skin. And she went into this whole thing. And I was like, I know that a dermatologist has not told you that, lady. I know that I know. Why would a dermatologist come out their mouth and tell you that? I know that they didn't tell you that. So why are you saying this? So that's with skin. Now let's talk about hair. She has like 4A hair. Like it's like ringlets of curls. It's not like big ringlets. Her hair is not straight. She definitely need a relaxer. She doesn't need, if she's doing the natural look, she's gonna have them kind of curls that like a 4A person would have. Like she got a couple of three, like bottom of her neck. She got a couple nape of her neck. She got some 3C, middle of we in our family, this part of our hair is the most the tightly coiled. So it's gonna be like like me, it's gonna be like 4C. Um um that kind of runs in our family, where this part of our head is the more tightly coiled, but around the perimeter is where we're gonna have the looser coils. And so hers, in old school language, she would be considered somebody who had good hair in old school language of black folk culture. She would be considered that, but she would not be considered somebody who has white people hair, but she thinks she does. So she will say, well, if she wanted to say she was in her relaxation, so she doesn't have to get a relaxer. She can just do it, like she can just straighten her hair and it'd be straight. Me, if I want my hair straight, I need a relaxer. You can straighten it like normal, but it's gonna frizz back up and go back to a fro. Especially back in the day when we didn't have the products prior to this kind of early stage, this new age of hair. Back in the 90s, if didn't have a relaxer, my hair is curling back up with the quickness. And so her hair, it won't curl back up because she has a looser texture of curl. And so we were talking about relaxer, and she was like, "Oh no, my hair, you don't need don't get me no super relaxer. Just give me a regular one." And I don't even need to put it on my hair for that long. I don't, they usually tell you to keep it on your hair for 20 minutes. I only need to keep it on my hair for like 5 or 10. Do you see what I'm saying? She is trying to make her hair seem like it's less black. My hair is soft like white folks, so you can't just do it. Like, you can't just do the shit that you do with niggas' hair. Now she's a 60 something, almost 60 something year old Mississippi woman. And so this is what I mean. Where I'm like, she'll be pro-black in one instance, but then anti-black in anything that got to do with her look. Last time you got me Supergirl. Yes. Yes. Your aunt will wear me out. Yes, she wears me out. She wears me out. And so I call her out and she was like, it's different. And I was like, yes, your hair is different, but it's still black hair, sweetie. It's not like white people. You don't have white people hair at all. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but you don't. Oh, she does piss me off. It's not that she don't piss me off. She does piss me off. She does. She pissed me off and other people. So why I'm explaining this is she has come to, as a parent, her children don't fuck with her. And then other people in our family has cut her off and don't deal with her in that way. And so now she is getting older and lonely. Other people just in different ways. Like the issue is these little nuances. There's some people who think like her but don't say it out of their mouth. Like, she has two daughters and one of them has good hair, and they're twins, but one of them has good hair and one of them has regular black people hair. And and so growing up, there would be this weird thing about how they talk about their hair. But the one with the regular black people hair is light skinned. And the one with the straight, almost white people hair, because her hair is like really straight, like really straight. And so she's the dark skinned one. So it's this weird thing of how they invest in those things. It's so strange and weird how they all invest. So it just depends. And then the light skinned one is also the thick one who has always been a plus size girl her whole life. And then the dark skinned one has been small. She was a small baby. She's a small woman. She, as opposed to, so it's all but they're twins. The dermatologist that said she has white people's skin's density probably use old terms like octoroon too. Crazy. I don't think that they had that conversation with her at all. I don't think it. Yes, I already came to. I went to Atlanta I was in Atlanta all last weekend from Friday to Monday. Um, um, do this is I don't know if this is normal. I'm starting to have. I have to go. I'm gonna go to the doctor about it too, but I'm starting to have this very, and it just comes and goes away. This very high pitch ringing in my ear, and then it comes. It's almost like it's doing like this. It's nothing, but it's like this high pitched sound that comes and then fades away. It's like like somebody is blowing a very high pitched whistle. And it's like, what is happening? Like, it feels like somebody is taking a whistle, blowing it, coming near my ear, and then going away from my ear. I have that when I yawn. Maybe it's that. I don't know, but I'm gonna ask my doctor about it. I know it annoys me. And it doesn't happen like all the time, but like every I don't know. Your aunt sounds like my grandma. My grandmother, my grandmother is her sister, and she has some shit like this too. She it's just this weird kind of featureism, colorism, all that. It's all connected to all of that. It's all connected to all of that. But because I'm in a younger generation, I can kind of push back on it, like, yo, that's kind of like anti-black. That's like weird. Whereas some people they go along with it. Sister Diamond, that's your God power kicking in. You're in some same frequency as the multiverse. Honey, I wish that it bring me some money. If you're a white lighter like on Charm, say that. I wish. Bring me some coins. I don't watch Charms. I never watch Charms. I don't know. I always know the context of Charm when people make Charm related jokes. Regarding the ring is similar to high pitch frequency, like what you hear when you plug in some phone chargers. Curious. Um, it's a really soft, like if you somebody is talking on the mic and they're like in behind a speaker, and then you hear that like kind of ringing in the speaker. It's that, but very, very high pitched and very soft. Like it's not loud where I'm like, ah. It's like soft, and it feels like it's doing like this and going away. Like it's coming close and then going away. It's really soft, like a whistle, like a really high pitch. Really, really high. Thumbs up if you're still here. I see 45 people. But yes, that is my vibe with my crazy aunt. She's weird. It must be the Holy Ghost. Oh, glory. Hallelujah. Come on. Praise him. Hey, Catwoman. But yes, so I wanted to talk about Childless and Free, and I just went on a tangent about my crazy aunt. But yeah, she has, so it makes her not likable. All those things that I'm describing, her not being able to be wrong, her weird pro-black, anti-blackness, her and also she got that now that's about race. She got the same shit about gender. She's like a hotep feminist, so she'll have some feminist qualities, but then she'll also have some hotep shit that she like, bitch, what kind of pick me shit is this? She's just that kind of she's that kind of person where there's a weird dichotomy in her, and some people don't like to deal with it, and some people, because it will start an argument, people who will confront her about something, because it'll start an argument, they just like, no, I'm out of here. I'm not even fucking with you, ma'am. I'm out of here. This strand of hair is wearing me out, and I just made it worse. So, all jokes aside, I used to have this as a child. This last week, I heard it briefly. It didn't really make me concerned. Yeah, it doesn't happen. It happens often enough for me to say it, but not. It's not like all the time. But it's like just a very, very high frequency sound. Um, but yes, what's going on that y'all want to chat about? What's going on in the world that y'all want to discuss? Or if you have anything that's going on in your life that you want to ask me my opinion on. Off topic, Diamond, but you look more and more like your mother the older you get. I've been watching your videos for years. Well, that is a blessing. I love my mother. My mother was one of my pinnacles of beauty. I love my mommy. Yes, well, that's a great thing. And thank you for watching for years. Where you get this wig? I don't really know. This wig's so old. This wig is probably like 5 years old. I just wash it and recurl it. Yeah, this is. I want to think it's raw hair. I think that's the name of the company, Raw Hair. It's a trans woman who owns it. She made it, and I like it. And like I said, I've had it for 5 years, so the hair is quality. It never. I just wash it and curl it, and it's good. Yeah, she's dope. But I think it's a trans woman that owns the company. Let me look for it so y'all can. Yeah, Raw Hair Don't Care Hair Extension Service. Raw Hair Don't Care on Facebook, and I think it's Black trans owned. Yes. They like medium. Like they got some prices, honey, but but it's not like $1,500. It's like 4 to 6. Um, but like I said, I have had this for 5 years, and it hasn't shed. It long as I wash it and condition it, like you got to wash and condition your hair. Um, it's just um, you know, you got to take care of it. But I've had it for 5 years, and it's anytime I want to put some long black hair on, it works. I got like 2 wigs. I got 2 black wigs like this. I got one that is like layered like this, and then I have a body wave one that I wear like when I go on vacation, I wear that there. Um, yeah. So I bought that one, the long one, the longer like body wave one. I got that one from my wig maker in New York City. Um, I go when I go to New York, I take like $1,500 to his house, and I'll leave with like 3 wigs, and they're like handmade. But he makes them by hand at his house, and so I don't want to say they super. They ain't like these fancy ass wigs. I'm old school. I don't like the lace and you know the with the edges and shit. I don't really like that. I don't like the work that you got to do with attaching that shit. I don't like it. I just like the band, and I like the lace part that you can just have right there. But I ain't worried about it looking super super real because I wear my hair in like in a certain way, so it don't need to have my edges out. Like if I had my edges out, then I would feel self conscious about it. But I always have my hair like frame in my face. So it doesn't my edges don't need to be this part needs to look good, but not like this part. Because I'm gonna cover it up anyway. So that's how I think about wigs. And I need to take my wig off. When I sleep, I need wigs off. And I wrap my own hair and put a bonnet up and then cool. Um, but I don't like wigs that you glue down and all that shit. That's not my tea. And so I don't like that. Um, let me see if I can find his. He has a weird. It is Nomar. It is nomar.com. Now, I don't know how the website and how his whole process works, but it's Nomar hair. Because I've never actually like ordered on the website and all that kind of stuff. It's nomarhair.com. Nomarhair. And I've had, once again, I've had his weird wig from like, I bought it in 2019 and I'm still traveling it. It's just, yeah, I done had it for years. And so it ain't never, and it still looks good. But if you looking for like that lace fronty wig, this ain't it. I don't like that. So you ain't gonna get no wig like that from me. Um, it's lace. So I don't want you to think it's not lace. So I just need this part to look lacy and cute. I can't. I can't. The whole cutting the edges. No, I don't like that. The baby hair shit is like I don't like that. So I go to his house, and because I come and I buy a lot, he always give me deals. He'll throw extra wigs in there, like shit that he's like, "Hey, do you want this one? It's a lace wig, but not a frontal." Yes. Um, Let me read. One second. One second. I missed some questions. Um, have you seen the series Gerard is coming out too soon? With soon. Yes, Gerard Carmichael. I have heard the series. I'm probably not going to watch it because it's a lot of black on white couples and no black on black couples. And I feel like there's some weird agenda that's happening even in the gay community where it's always black on white couples. It's never black on black couples. It's so weird. And I feel like he's one of the people that centers white boys in his dating life, even though he has come out as gay. It feels weird, so I'm probably not gonna watch it. I think I headed out. I'm tired. Good night. Good night, Dave. I forgot his other name. Are you coming to Dallas for the trans conference? I think as of right now, I think so, but I don't know. Um, let's see. I will have to skip the Gerard docuseries when he put the white man foot in his mouth. I had to peace out. Yes. His name is Gerard Carmichael, and he has a reality show coming soon. Have you heard about it? Yes, 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 yes. I actually enjoyed his comedy special when he came out. I actually enjoyed that. You look younger as you slim down. Thank you. That's kind of fat phobic though, Kelly. Not no shade, but a lot of people associate. I don't think you intentionally are doing it, but when a lot of people associate being big with being older, and that kind of is because of fat phobia. Not saying that you intentionally are doing that, but people associate youthfulness with being skinny, and if you thick, you older. You must be somebody mama. um Like, don't nobody got time for cement hair. Yeah, no. Diamond, how is Ty doing? The person named Jiggly Jello in the chat is Ty. She's always in here every time I go live. That is Ty. Jiggly Jello is Ty. Just checking to see if all is well. She is great. She came to my birthday dinner. That's the last time I saw her. She does drag here in Houston, so check her out at the Grand Prix at Michael's Depot. And where else you be working at, girl? And yes, our sisterhood is still fine. That's never gonna change. That's been my friend since I was 11. We don't have those kind of issues that we would stop being sisters. Yeah. It's like my friend for life. There's nothing that's gonna change that. Um, when I walked through the door, my wig was about to has to be detached. Exactly. Fly through the air and find this place wherever it lands. Amen. Wherever it is, not on floor. Yes, honey. Um, what else? Who? What else? Da, 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 da. Hey, Chris, how are you? I'm doing okay. Thanks for thinking of me. Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at. The trailer alone was too weird. Yes, child. Mm-mm. No. Did you watch the Wendy Williams? No, Wendy Williams makes me sad. I don't want to watch it. It makes me sad. Get you a blonde Beyonce wig. No, actually, blonde. I only like blonde on me if it's short. I don't like long blonde hair. It's something about my skin tone that does not feel, it washes me out. Blonde hair feels weird. I like short blonde hair, but I don't like long Beyonce style blonde. It feels, I think that looks better on brown girls. Do you think it's karma? No. I don't really necessarily believe in karma. Um, I feel like Wendy was doing what so many other people do. And so the fact that people would think that it was karma that she is getting, there's so many people that do gossip talk that are living rich lives. why would why would we want the black woman to get the karma? I'm not saying, and I'm not saying that, she was she was doing her job. It's not a great, it's not, I don't think of her as good or bad. I think that she is just kind of, she was doing what we loved her to do. She's the messy auntie, just in the, that auntie that's messy that you like to go over her house and Kiki. She's that. She gonna say some problematic shit that you may not say or you may not believe, but Wendy was an iconic radio personality that went to TV, and we liked her for her problematic nature. She was not nice, and I wouldn't say that she was mean either. I just think that she just says what is on her mind that some many people think, good or bad. She just didn't have, she was tacky. It wasn't that she was mean or nice, she was tacky. Like, she says shit that's like, girl, you don't say that, girl. It's not necessarily mean, it's just tacky. Problematic auntie. But it's her job, and I don't think that her doing her job as an entertainer, as a media personality, deserves dementia. That feels kind of extreme. And then if karma actually exists, I know we say it just as a kind of like a cultural colloquialism, but you if karma existed, these white people would be, there should be some things happening to them if karma existed. They shouldn't still be in the position that they are in. Um, Trump shouldn't be almost about to win again. If we're talking about karma, there's a lot. Karma need to hurry her ass up. Karma honey is lazy and not doing her fucking job. Miss Thing need to come on through and get it and stand on business, because clearly she's not. Do you think he will win? Um, do I think that Donald Trump will win? I mean, it's easier for him. Like, I feel like we're like the Democrat is always the uphill battle. It's his race to lose. Do you think that Biden, with Gaza, with student loan shit, um do you think he rallied his base? I don't feel I don't feel more connected to Biden. After this 4 years, do I feel more connected and have more faith in Biden after these 4 years? Am I excited to vote for Biden after this 4 years? No. He didn't do anything that I felt that I'm excited about. Um, I don't want to say I feel less connected. Um, I feel exactly the same. I don't There's nothing that I can hold on to. It's like, look at what he did. Thank you. Wendy was saying nothing but what she gets said behind closed doors. If that's the case, the world would be in shambles. Facts. Um, yeah, and I not just that, just the sadness of dementia. Dementia is sad. Karma, ironic, sure. Is it ironic that this person who made a career out of talking shit and um talking shit, gossiping, da 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 da. Is it ironic that they would be afflicted with the dementia that affects the part of the brain that affects those things, the way how you talk? And, you know, is that ironic? Yes. But is it karma? I don't think it's karma. It's ironic, but life is sometimes ironic. I don't think karma does necessarily work that way, though, in the sense that bad things will happen to people who do bad things. I think that's what you mean. I'm not fully educated in hedonism, but my Hindu friend corrected me before. It's six in one of their hands and half a dozen in another. It's six in one hand and half a dozen in another. Explain that. Explain that. I think that's just like a saying. Explain that a little bit so I can understand what you mean. But I'll have to do some reading on that. The Gaza stuff is wild. That's the Democratic support that. The Gaza stuff is wild. Doesn't even encapsulate it. The Gaza stuff is crazy. It is wild. It's just so many things. It's so many things. So many words, and then not enough words. I'm still gonna do what needs to be done, but it's strictly for the lesser of the two evils. Yes, and some people are tired of voting for the lesser of two evils and not getting nothing in exchange. No results in exchange. That's my problem. I need some results, like some executive orders and decisions, and I just need a little more. We are in we in the beginning, we were in the best position to get some stuff done because we had Kamala as, the deciding factor in the House at one point. That was a time to get some shit done. That you do the work to convince people on your side. You had the presidential branch, you had the executive branch, and you had the legislative branch on your side. Even if you didn't have the judicial branch. My vote ain't speaking if I'm not seeing results. It's not going to make me not vote, but I understand the sentiment. It gets annoying. It ain't going to make me not vote, but because I vote for a reason. This is the thing about it. A lot of people be like, oh, they're just, as somebody who sits at the margins of certain systems, there are people like myself who are directly affected by a Trump presidency. Directly negative affected immediately. So somebody who has the privilege of saying, I'm not going to vote. I ain't worried about it. That is because they are not directly impacted in a way that shifts their lives a lot. I am somebody who is directly impacted by that. My money shifts a lot. Um, and so that can affect whether or not I'm homeless, whether or not I have health care, whether or not I don't. Um, the struggle, yes, is real in my particular life. Um, so somebody telling me, well, I'm just not going to vote, it is because you are in a privileged position that allows you to not care and be complacent about it. But I'm also, what I would say to that person is, there are people less privileged than you that need your vote to help avoid them getting the harms as fast as they would with a Republican. So I'm not saying that it's going to change everything, but I can at least work with a Democratic president. And we talk about, yes, I know local elections are more important, that affect you directly. You need to vote in every election, every single one, because it makes it easier for you to get things done, for you to push in different directions, as opposed to having to negotiate with a Republican. That's just what it is. Someone said that treat vote like washing your hands. You don't expect washing your hands to prevent all diseases, but it definitely helps and it's necessary. It's one of the many things we can do for our health, right? Um, right. And if I don't care about a particular issue, but I'm on that side of the people, like labor rights. I care about labor rights, but not as much as I care about reproductive justice, trans rights, LGBT rights, housing. I care about labor, but that's not one of my top of the list issues. Women, labor workers, they, if they say we are better off with a Democratic president because we're able to do this, this, and this, and then this, and they need my vote for that, for their whatever their strategy is to work, I'm gonna give them my vote just because they need it. Even if I feel it won't affect me, they need a Democratic president within their strategic model, within whatever strategy they're going after. They need a Democratic president. So I'm voting to help the people who might need this win to effectively do their strategy. It ain't always about me seeing results for myself, even though I can be more effective with a Democratic president. Not saying they're just gonna give me whatever I want, but it's easier to push a Democrat to you than a Republican. One is way over there and one is right here. If I'm trying to snatch something from you or push you in my direction, it's easier with this person as opposed to somebody way over there who don't even want me to exist, who's actively fighting for me to exist. At least this motherfucker is pretending to be on my side. Um, I always think about how will this hurt the little man or woman. We have to look out to the community too, just not just for ourselves. Absolutely. I vote because it's my right. So I'm voting anytime. And I'm definitely down anytime. GM down every time. But it's exhausting with the presidential election. It has been for a few elections. Yes, I agree. I think people are being not inspired, and it's because you're not taking action. You're not taking action towards the people, towards what the people want, across many issues that affect their lives. Rent is going up, healthcare is crazy. um like they're literally saying that statistically now 50% of people can't afford their rent. That is wild. That is fucking wild. because of low wages and all that's kind of crazy shit. But yes. But yes. Doo-doo-doo-doo. If I'm honest, I'm over the two-party democracy too. I'm not an anarchist, but I wouldn't be upset at the breakdown of this institution. Um I just wanted to shift. I needed to shift. It's like a when you get into breaking systems, usually the most marginalized people be casualties to that break. So I just want I want some actual actions done by the people. What we learned from COVID, which was an obvious lesson to me that I just feel like people are not didn't pay attention to, is when you stop the world, when the world stop, motherfuckers get on their shit and start making stuff happen. They start being flexible. Look at how many jobs started to be open remotely. Prior to COVID, they were complaining about not wanting things to be remote. And as soon as COVID affected productivity, they like, oh, remote, remote, remote. Even people are still remote right now. They started making adjustments. And so imagine if shit like, remember that, what was that strike that happened? Was it in Amsterdam or France? I don't know. There was a strike that happened where everybody just stopped going to work. I want to see something big like that where collectively motherfuckers is tired and boom, we done. I want something big. I want something that stop the world. That's not a fucking disease. That's actual organizing. Hmm. But all right, y'all. I'm about to get up out of here. It's 10 o'clock. I need to watch some shows before I have to fly out in the morning and I need to pack. So I have fun tonight. I hope we had a good conversation and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure y'all thumbs up if y'all are watching it later on. Yeah, make sure y'all subscribe if you are new here. What else is happening? Follow me on all social medias: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Diamond Stylz. I also share all of my music and all of my stuff there. What else? What else are you supposed to say? um, yeah. I will chat with y'all next week. Bye bye. See y'all in Austin if y'all is in Austin. Hit me up if y'all there. All right. Bye bye.